On the morning of March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 vanished from radar screens without a trace, leaving the world stunned and searching for answers. What began as a routine flight, scheduled to depart Kuala Lumpur at 12:41 a.m. and arrive in Beijing at 6:30 a.m., quickly became one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time. There were 239 people on board, representing more than a dozen countries, each with their own story, their own hopes, and their own dreams. None of them ever reached their destination. In the earliest reports, MH370 seemed like any other flight. Passengers boarded, flight attendants performed their safety briefings, and Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a seasoned pilot with over 18,000 flight hours, prepared for takeoff alongside First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid. Communications with air traffic control remained normal until the final automated message captured by military radar. The plane made an unexpected turn westward after leaving Malaysian airspace. From that moment, the aircraft, a Boeing 777, one of the world's most reliable commercial jets, began a path that would puzzle investigators for more than a decade. Radar data showed MH370 deviating sharply from its planned route. Instead of heading northeast toward Beijing, it redirected west over the Malay Peninsula, then northwest over the Strait of Malacca, vanishing from civilian radar screens. The transponder, the device that tells air traffic control where a plane is, was disabled, and no distress signal was sent. It was as if the aircraft simply disappeared. Families waiting in Beijing watched the minutes tick by without word, and soon the global media lit up with questions no one could answer. What happened? Why? And could the plane still be out there somewhere? In the hours that followed, military radar and satellite data became the focus of scrutiny. Analysts discovered that MH370 continued flying for hours after its last contact, following a trajectory that suggested intentional routing. But by whom? And for what purpose? The search area expanded rapidly, covering the South China Sea, Andaman Sea, and eventually the southern Indian Ocean, one of the most remote and deepest stretches of ocean on Earth. Despite the massive effort involving dozens of nations, no significant debris field was found near the initial flight path. Skeptics and theorists emerged almost immediately. Some proposed mechanical failure, others suspected hijacking or sabotage. Conspiracy theories flourished online, with speculation ranging from secret military operations to UFO intervention. However, aviation experts warned that such theories distracted from the painstaking work needed to understand what really occurred. They urged focus on facts, radar data, satellite pings, acoustic signals, and ocean drift patterns. Each piece of evidence told a fragment of the story, but piecing those fragments into a coherent explanation proved maddeningly difficult. The disappearance of MH370 challenged assumptions about modern aviation safety. How could a state-of-the-art aircraft vanish without a trace in the age of GPS, satellite communication, and global surveillance? The question haunted millions, and as the search stretched into weeks and months, frustration grew. Governments released statements, families held vigils. The world watched, waiting for closure that never came. But the mystery of MH370 was only beginning. The international search for MH370 became the largest and most expensive in aviation history. At its peak, more than 24 nations contributed ships, aircraft, satellites, and specialized equipment. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau, ATSB, led efforts in the southern Indian Ocean, where satellite data indicated the flight's final arc. The ocean floor in many areas dropped to depths of over 6,000 meters, creating enormous challenges for sonar, mapping, and deep-sea exploration. Investigators relied on the plane's last known satellite, handshakes, automatic signals exchanged between MH370's communication system and a satellite operated by an. These pings provided crucial clues, suggesting the plane traveled southward after its course was altered. Each ping established what are known as arcs, rings of possible flight locations across the ocean. By combining these arcs with fuel estimates, analysts narrowed down a search zone, nearly 1,500 kilometers off the coast of Western Australia. Despite the technological effort, the ocean yielded little during the initial underwater phase. No large aircraft wreckage, no black box signals, nothing. But on July 29, 2015, a breakthrough occurred. A piece of debris, later confirmed to be part of MH370's flaperon, washed ashore on Reunion Island, more than 4,000 kilometers from the proposed search area. The discovery reignited hope and speculation. Could parts of the plane be drifting even further afield? Oceanographers worked backward, simulating currents and wind patterns to trace the debris' possible journey, offering some of the first tangible evidence of the aircraft's final location. Additional debris later washed up along the east coast of Africa and islands. In the Indian Ocean, each fragment was carefully analyzed, serial numbers confirmed they were from a Boeing 707, paint patterns matched Malaysia Airlines livery, and forensic examinations helped piece together impact dynamics. Investigators were now certain the plane had gone down in the Indian Ocean, far from landing zones, far from rescue. But why it went there, and who was responsible for the routing, remained unanswered. Official reports suggested the most probable scenario involved deliberate actions by someone on board. But no conclusive evidence has ever tied the course change to a specific individual or motive. The cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder, the black boxes that hold crucial diagnostic information, were never recovered, leaving crucial questions forever open. Without them, the mystery deepens. Was it pilot action, mechanical malfunction, a combination, or something else entirely? Families of the victims continue to seek answers, holding governments and aviation authorities accountable. They have lobbied for transparency, improved flight tracking systems, and better cockpit access protocols. Changes aimed at preventing another disappearance like MH370. The aviation industry has responded by proposing real-time tracking requirements, enhanced satellite monitoring, and extended underwater locator beacon battery life, pushing for a future where no plane can vanish without a trace. Years after the disappearance, MH370's legacy reshaped our understanding of aviation, international cooperation, and human vulnerability. Airlines, regulators, and manufacturers reevaluated safety protocols. Real-time tracking systems became a priority. Governments agreed that no aircraft should fly over remote regions without constant communication. Yet for every improvement, the absence of final closure on MH370 lingers. Like a shadow, the families of the 239 passengers and crew carry this absence with them. Pictures of lost loved ones adorn walls. Birthdays, anniversaries, and milestones pass with both remembrance and pain. Some families have found ways to honor their memories through foundations and advocacy groups focused on aviation safety. Others have written books, spoken publicly, and kept the story alive, not for fame, but for truth. Documentaries and investigations continue to surface, each offering new angles and theories. Some focus on technological possibilities, hidden autopilot commands, disabled communication systems, or unexplained flight data. Others explore geopolitical contexts, tensions between nations, aircraft security, vulnerabilities, and intelligence anomalies. But none provide a definitive answer. Instead, they add layers of complexity, a reminder that truth is rarely simple. The world looks at MH370 not just as a tragedy, but as a profound mystery that challenges assumptions about progress and safety in the modern age. How could the most connected machines on Earth disappear into silence? And even more haunting, could it happen again? These questions fuel fear, curiosity, and a relentless search for understanding. Ultimately, the disappearance of MH370 is not just a story of a lost airplane. It is a story about human connection, uncertainty, and the fragility of life. It raises deeper philosophical questions about control, fate, and meaning in a world that often refuses simple answers. And until the final pieces of the puzzle are found, if they ever are, MH370 will remain one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 21st century.